After 25 hours with the Mercenary, I've got to say that this class is awesome. Wielding a devastating crossbow that works more like a multifaceted assault rifle, the Mercenary class does a great job of mirroring the feel of a top-down shooter while also nailing the ARPG feel that powerful builds bring. Here's some League beginner builds to get you off to a strong start. Now, full disclosure, but everyone will have an opinion on my build or their own suggestion, so I completely welcome conversation about how to make it even better in the comments. That said, here's how I'll be starting my second playthrough as the Mercenary. At the beginning of your Mercenary journey, you won't have much, but you'll be given fragmentation rounds for free in the starting area, and you can pair that with permafrost bolts when you get your first skill gem. This allows you to freeze enemies with permafrost and then switch to fragmentation rounds, which will blow up frozen enemies and cause an explosion of damage. Pair this with explosive grenade, and this build alone can carry you through a lot of Act 1 with relative ease. That said, some support gems to consider for these 3 skill gems are as follows. For explosive grenade, second wind and scattershot, and later fiery death were game changers for me. We'll revisit that fiery death perk when we talk about mid-game, but second wind and scattershot mean you can constantly be shooting sets of 3 grenades across the battlefield and have plenty of ammunition at your disposal. For permafrost bolts, adding cold fusion and chain will mean more cold build-up faster and a chance for the attack to hit multiple enemies with each shot of the gun. The goal is to get your opponents frozen as fast as possible so they become mini bombs that your fragmentation round can explode. And for fragmentation rounds, you really just want to use a whole lot of either chain, if you've opted for a different support gem on your permafrost bolts, or double barrel for more rounds are good starters. For the second slot, something like leverage would also be a good choice. Leverage gives you a 50% increased critical hit chance against immobilized enemies, so it's a pretty good pairing. A little bit later on, things start to get a bit more interesting. I found that swapping to a fire build was a lot of fun around this point. Once you unlock Incendiary Shot, you can set a large group of enemies on fire, and then use a detonate ability to make them all blow up. For skill gems, you'll want to grab Incendiary Shot to begin, with support gems of Wildfire and Eternal Flame to help propagate the flame. Wildfire helps ignite spread, and Eternal Flame helps ignite last longer, giving you a longer opportunity to detonate those on fire. To detonate the fire, your Fiery Death support gem on Explosive Grenade comes into play. Just drop one of those into a group of enemies who have been ignited and watch them burn away into ash. When you unlock Ascendancy, the Mercenary build really starts to get fun. I decided to pick Witchhunter because of one perk, the ability to instant delete enemies 10% of the time with Zealous Inquisition. This ability will give a 10% chance for enemies to explode, dealing 100% of their maximum life as physical damage. The chances also doubled against undead and demons. I gotta be honest, I think the perk is broken because sometimes bosses will just instantly die, or their second phase is triggered when it procs. So I recommend statting it to this immediately before it's patched. But for later gems around level 5, I highly recommend the Gas Grenade. This will release poison gas that will cause damage over time to enemies within the poison cloud. It has the added benefit of exploding with any detonator skill such as the Explosive Grenade, and will become even more potent at later levels as we add more gems. I paired Gas Grenade with the support gems Primal to increase the elemental damage done, but in hindsight I might switch that one out, but I would definitely keep Bursting Plague, which adds 200% damage per second to an enemy as Plague, up to 10% of the enemy's maximum life. This is why at gem level 7 I recommend the Explosive Shot skill gem with support gems of Immolate, which removes the ability to ignite but adds 30% more fire damage, and Close Combat, which adds 25% more damage to enemies who are in close proximity to you. Explosive Shot not only is a detonator, but also reloads a bit faster than other abilities, and has the added benefit that it will detonate any and all grenades you fired into an area. So the loop is basically to get as many grenades as you possibly can on the battlefield, set as many things on fire as you can, and then detonate it all with the Explosive Shot. The fact that we selected Witchhunter also has the fun perk of getting to watch things instantly delete every once in a while. And it seems to happen more than it should.
Another notch on me helmet.
And through Act 2, there's only one final recommendation I have for the beginning, and that's Oil Grenade. This level 9 skill gem fires a burst of oil at enemies and slows them down, reduces their fire resistance, applies exposure, and really acts as a setup to all the other abilities. so you can use it to slow down a group of enemies rushing you as you pepper the field with grenades, and then you can detonate it all for a lovely explosion. If you add the support gem Strip Away to give exposure a 30% increased effect, Payload to give it a 50% chance to activate a second time, as well as a 70% reduced cooldown recovery rate, and optionally add Ingenuity to further increase the cooldown recovery rate by 30%, you'll find that you always have it ready to go when enemies are nearby. Later in the game, you may encounter more resistances on your enemies, which is why I found myself using this one more and more to great effect. So with all this combined, you have a nice set of abilities that will build you up to a crowd-controlling, debuffing, exploding menace to enemies that come into your path. However, I am of course open to suggestions. If you can think of a way to make this build even stronger, let me know. Or did you find a mercenary build that I should be trying out? I'd love to see it. Thanks for watching, everybody. For more on all things Path of Exile, keep it right here at IGN.